Tonight, toxic emergency in California, thousands evacuated. Officials warn a leaking chemical tank could explode or spill.
Letting this thing just fail and blow up is unacceptable to us.
The dangerous situation unfolding right now just miles from Disneyland.
I'm Lana Zach in Los Alamitos, where emergency workers are racing against time to cool a pressurized tank before catastrophe strikes.
Also tonight, the cause of death revealed for NASCAR legend Kyle Busch.
I'm Lindsay Reiser. New details tonight on the shocking and sudden death of the 41-year-old.
Diplomacy intensifies to end the Iran war amid threats of escalation.
I'm Yves Tayev in Tel Aviv. Will it be war or peace? New reporting on the rush to save the ceasefire and get a deal.
Summer's costly start for travelers fueling up and taking off this Memorial Day weekend.
I'm Aaron Navarro at the White House. How concerns about rising costs are a problem for President Trump and fellow Republicans with the midterm elections approaching.
Hats off at West Point from college graduates to the nation's newest military officers. All that, plus there are faster ways to get from Chicago to Santa Monica, California. But there's only one Route 66. This Oklahoma couple completed the journey time traveling in a car as old as the road.
We made it.
We made it.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Saturday. We begin with some breaking news at the White House. Moments ago, several shots were heard at the property. Details are few, but CBS's Aaron Navarro is there and was outside at our live shot location when all of this happened. Aaron, what do you know? And we obviously saw that you were there being told to get down immediately.
Jerika, from where I was in the press tents outside the White House, you could hear about 20 to 30 gunshots from what seemed like outside the White House grounds. It also sounded like 1.2 guns going at the same time, though, again, the details are fluid and are unconfirmed. And we have heard from initial law enforcement reports that it happened at the 17th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue intersection, which is right beyond the building for staffers at the West Wing, known as the Eisenhower Executive Office Building. We could not see the shooters as we ducked down, but we did start to see Secret Service roam the north lawn of the White House as they yelled at us to get to the press wing and get inside. Currently, the White House is under lockdown. There is a Secret Service agent right outside the doors to the press briefing room, and you can see some of them start to roam the north lawn of the White House today. But this obviously comes just a couple of weeks after a shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
That's right, Aaron. The White House Correspondents' Dinner, there have been a number of attempts, obviously, on the president's life. I know there's been security concerns, but Aaron Navarro at the White House will, of course, come back to you if we get any more information. Thank you. To Southern California and a chemical crisis happening right now. It's because of this, a failing industrial tank filled with an extremely hazardous chemical that's leaking at an aerospace facility and could explode. The governor today declaring a state of emergency. The disaster has forced tens of thousands to evacuate in 6 Orange County cities. The facility also just miles from Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm. Both are still open on this busy holiday weekend. CBS's Lana Zach begins our coverage at the Emergency Command Center. Lana.
Good evening, Jerika. Last night, after believing that they were effectively cooling this tank, today some bad news. Officials concede their efforts to control this situation are not going as well as they hoped.
Today, Garden Grove is a ghost town. 50,000 residents now under mandatory evacuation orders. Even first responders asked to stay away.
We did put them back in harm's way last night with an attempt to go in and neutralize the additional tank, the 15,000-gallon tank.
We were so busy packing up. I walked out and then I was I was about to start driving, and then I realized oh, I'm not even wearing shoes.
Pavel Ramirez evacuated so quickly, he said he didn't realize he was wearing his slippers. We met him outside of an emergency shelter.
I never thought I'd have to do something like this, but I hope it can all be over soon.
His home is just half a mile from the GKN aerospace facility, where a tank holding the chemical methyl methacrylate, also known as MMA, threatens to explode.
If the reaction gets going, it causes something that we call a runaway reaction, where it's uncontrollable.
If it does explode, the blast radius could be a mile wide. Local and state officials are trying to cool the tank, but monitoring it by drone, they don't know how effective these efforts really are.
We aren't able to have an accurate internal attempt without someone physically on the ground there.
They also say what may look like toxic vapors outside the tank are not. There is no venting taking place.
There's no venting happening at all?
There's no venting happening at this time.
For residents like Ramirez, there's no telling how long they will be displaced or worse.
I don't know, I'm kind of worried we might not have somewhere to come back home to.
As for nearby Knott's Berry Farm and Disney, officials here tell me that they are far enough away that they are not in danger. And Captain Huang also told me they don't know why this tank failed. They say that is going to be part of an investigation after they get the situation under control, Jerika.
And Lana, for that Ramirez family, any idea how much longer they can stay away from their home? What are they anticipating?
They don't know. He told me that he packed for 3 days, so that's about how long they have. But they really have the concern because Snoopy, their dog, is not welcome in most of these shelters and in most of the hotels. So they are trying to bounce around and see where they can actually stay, and they have no idea how long this can be. Even the officials here can't tell me that.
Lana Zach, yeah, that uncertainty must be tough. Thank you so much. We now know what caused the death of NASCAR legend Kyle Busch. Today, his race car, rebranded to the number 33, took to the track at the Charlotte Motor Speedway with a teammate behind the wheel. CBS's Lindsay Reiser joins us now with new details. Lindsay.
Good evening, Jerika. Today, the family of Kyle Busch revealed the NASCAR champion's pneumonia progressed into sepsis, a life-threatening condition.
Please rise and join us in a moment of silence.
NASCAR held a tribute for two-time Cup Series champion Kyle Busch at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where he was supposed to compete this weekend.
Thank you.
The 41-year-old's family revealing severe pneumonia progressed into sepsis, resulting in rapid and overwhelming associated complications. Each year, at least 1.7 million Americans develop sepsis and about 350,000 die from it. Dr. John LaPook is the CBS News chief medical correspondent.
And what it is severe infection where your body becomes overwhelmed and your organs start to collapse. Once the severe sepsis sets in, there may be nothing that you can do. And sadly, it sounds like that's what was going on right here.
Busch suffered a medical emergency the day before his death while in a racing simulator, according to the Associated Press. And more than a week earlier, Busch asked for a doctor after a race in New York.
Kyle Busch wins at Dover.
Busch, one of the sport's greatest drivers, just secured his 69th win last week in Delaware.
He just really meant a lot to a whole generation of younger fans.
Busch's racing team has retired the number 8 until his 11-year-old son is ready to take the wheel. North Carolina's governor has ordered flags to be flown at half-staff at state buildings until tomorrow at sunset. Jerika?
All right, Lindsay Reiser, thank you. To the war in Iran, tonight President Trump announced that he is close to reaching an agreement with Iran to end the conflict and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But Iran dismissing his assertion. The president also sharing this on social media today: stars and stripes, red, white, and blue, imposed on a map of Iran. CBS's Imtiaz Tayeb is in Tel Aviv with more.
Jerika, good evening. Well, President Trump has posted on social media that the final aspects of a deal with Iran is being, quote, finalized after a marathon number of calls with Middle Eastern leaders tonight.
In Tehran today, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian greeted Pakistan's army chief warmly. Asim Munir, a close ally of President Trump, has been leading weeks of intense mediations in an attempt to narrow the differences between the U.S. and Iran. But the gulf between the two sides remains. The Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil transits, remains a key sticking point. Washington and Tehran have imposed dueling blockades on the vital waterway, sending gas prices soaring. But it's the Islamic Republic's nuclear program and large stockpiles of nearly bomb-grade, highly enriched uranium, which the president says is his red line.
They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. And we'll have that over with soon. It'll be over with soon.
How soon is anyone's guess. Despite the ceasefire holding, President Trump has been frustrated at the pace of talks and has been presented with options for restarting military action. Amos Yadin is the former head of Israeli military intelligence and current advisor to Israel's government.
Will the war with Iran restart? It depends, of course, on the Iranians. If the Iranians will compromise on the nuclear issue, on Hormuz, I think the war will not resume. Nobody wants to resume the war, neither Trump nor the Iranians. If the Iranians will continue to be tough as they were until now, the president will be in a huge dilemma.
Now, how the president proceeds is still unclear. Just a few days ago, he gave Tehran a loose deadline of early next week to return what he might consider a suitable offer to end the war, Jerika. But so far, it's not clear how any of the major sticking points between the two bitter rivals will be resolved.
MTS Tayeb in Tel Aviv tonight. Thank you. Well, many Americans are on the move this holiday weekend. The Iran war has driven up gas prices in 15 states to $4.60 or higher. Nationwide, they average $4.52. That's up $1.33 from a year ago. Well, to the weather now, and a soggy and very cold start to the Memorial Day weekend for millions. This is Pearland, Texas, near Houston, where storms caused flash flooding today. Perhaps the sun may shine on others, but for that answer, let's check in with CBS News meteorologist Andrew Kozak. Andrew.
Yeah, Jerika, not making a lot of friends with this forecast across the east and the south this holiday weekend. Look at all of the rain that we have been tracking. New tonight, flooding. And by the way, we showed you those cars driving through. It's not a good idea to do that. We always like to say, turn around, don't drown. You can get caught in that water very quickly. All of this excessive rainfall, you can see in the yellow, expands across the Gulf tomorrow, and then even into your Monday, we're likely to see some more flooding across the Mid-South and the Deep South in the order of an additional 4 to 6 inches in this area, 1 to 3 up toward Ohio and the Ohio Valley. A good solid inch for many areas across the east, which, by the way, is some good news because we still are in a severe or exceptional drought. Truth be told, we could use a little bit of that rain out west. The other piece of this picture, of course, is the colder temperatures. Sunday and Monday into the holiday weekend, places like Philadelphia and New York should finally get above the 60 to 70 degree range. The best weather tomorrow, the Midwest, places like Chicago and Minneapolis. Jerika?
All right, Andrew Kozak, thanks so much. Tonight, the 2026 class at the U.S. Military Academy has a lot to celebrate.
Class of 2026. Dismissed.
Despite the rain, it was hats off at West Point as nearly 1,000 cadets graduated, becoming the nation's newest military officers in the U.S. Army. From new beginnings to the end of an era, CBS News Radio signed off last night, echoing the past.
Edward R. Murrow.
Good night and good luck.
CBS News Special Report. I'm Christopher Cruz.
The final newscast at 11:30 p.m. Eastern was the last one after 99 years of broadcasting. You see, their current and former employees were there to listen. Straight ahead on the CBS Weekend News, how the U.S. is expanding Ebola screenings at airports to help control the outbreak. Tonight, the Centers for Disease Control has increased the number of countries in Africa at risk for Ebola from 3 to 10. And a third entry point is open for Americans traveling from those high-risk countries back into the United States. Atlanta's airport is now offering enhanced screening along with Houston and Washington's Dulles airports. CBS's Holly Williams has the latest on the virus outbreak.
There is no approved vaccine for this strain of Ebola, and it's spreading in a part of the Democratic Republic of Congo that's plagued by poverty and by violence. This man says his older brother is one of the suspected victims of the deadly virus. International help is arriving, but doctors and nurses are also contending with suspicion and the spread of misinformation about the disease, which has a mortality rate of around 50%. This past week, an angry crowd set fire to part of a hospital in eastern Congo, demanding the body of a young man thought to have died from the virus. The authorities need to ensure safe burial to stop the spread of Ebola, and funeral wakes have been temporarily banned. What must be avoided is picking up rumours and spreading them, said Dr. Abdul Sebu Shishe, who's working with an international NGO to combat the outbreak. Dr. Peter Stafford, an American medical missionary, contracted Ebola while working at a local hospital in eastern Congo. He's now being treated in Germany, weakened but not critically ill. His wife, Dr. Rebecca Stafford, and their 4 young children were also evacuated and have all tested negative for the virus. In eastern Congo, they've set up checkpoints, including this one at the airport, to stop Ebola from travelling. Any passenger who arrives showing signs of Ebola must not board the plane, said Aimé Prosper, because they are someone who could go on to spread the disease elsewhere. The World Health Organization says the risk of this strain of Ebola spreading globally is low. Earlier this week, the US suspended entry for non-American citizens who've been to the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda or South Sudan in the preceding 21 days. On Friday, that was extended to green card holders. Holly Williams, CBS News, London.
Still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, 39 engines used for this SpaceX rocket. But was the launch a success? We'll tell you. Tonight, a chaotic scene after a deadly coal mine explosion in China. At least 82 people were killed and more than 120 people hospitalized. It is the country's deadliest mining accident in recent years. The cause right now is under investigation. Well, SpaceX has completed what's being called a mostly successful test of its new Starship rocket, mostly because it had engine trouble. On touchdown, the Indian Ocean, the rocket toppled over into the water and exploded. The uncrewed rocket blasted off Friday in Texas. Starship is the largest and most powerful rocket ever built. Well, next on the CBS Weekend News, we're taking a trip on Route 66. But first, a look back at this day in history.
The Supreme Court today refused to hear the appeals of the Watergate cover-up convictions of John Mitchell, Bob Haldeman, and John Ehrlichman.
James M. Stewart, an American boy who grew to a glorious manhood, but never lost his sense of wonder or his innocence.
The historic Route 66 is a symbol of adventure and the American open road stretching across 8 states. An Oklahoma couple just drove its entire length. CBS's Noel Brennan followed their journey for tonight's Weekend Journal.
Like any old road, it has a beginning and end.
We made it.
We made it.
But in the 100-year history of Route 66, no journey is the same.
Well, yeah, we're afraid we're going to have to push it the whole way.
Ed and Jackie Fogel
we got through it.
Made it to Santa Monica, but it all started a month ago in Chicago.
You're fine, you're fine.
Pushing past hurdles.
Swing it to the right.
In their 1926 Hupmobile.
That's going to be good enough.
A car as old as Route 66.
So how many miles does this thing have on it?
Oh, who knows? Who knows? The speedometer doesn't work. The odometer doesn't work. Well, there's no fuel gauge.
Fuel gauge doesn't work.
The couple from Tulsa, Oklahoma, towed it in a trailer to the start of Route 66. With help from their traveling mechanic, the Hupmobile survived its first hiccup.
Go ahead, do it again.
And the Fogels hit the open road like they did for their honeymoon 25 years ago.
59 Cadillac convertible. Top down every inch of the way. All right, there we are.
But this time, it was slow and steady on wooden wheels. Mile after memorable mile on the Mother Road.
We went to Oatman, Arizona, and where they have the donkeys. And a donkey tried to eat my purse. So that was kind of a highlight for me.
But in a car with no shocks, the Fogels felt every bump in the road, too.
We're in the middle of the desert in Southern California, out in nowhere, bang.
They replaced the radiator and fixed the motor mount twice.
And it's still in one piece.
It's running good. It's running good.
Ed and Jackie have traveled more than 2,400 miles and 25 years together.
So what do you think this trip, this journey has done for your relationship?
We're still married.
Yeah.
Santa Monica is the end of the road. but not their journey.
We made it.
We made it.
Noel Brennan, CBS News, Chicago.
Glad they made it safely. But before we go, we want to update our top story, shots fired near the White House. It happened as our White House reporter, Aaron Navarro, was about to go on the air.
2022. President Trump promises the prices will go down, but his grip on Republican support on Capitol Hill is weakening.
A very real moment caught there. The president was at the White House, we're told, when the shots were heard. There was a massive police response, as you see. Law enforcement is investigating. Well, that is the CBS Weekend News for this Saturday. We thank you for watching. I'm Jerika Duncan. Have a good night.